Folks who are new to Cherwell and maybe just trying to do some exploration right now about the product and who they are may not be familiar with their presence and the way they're viewed in the industry by the analysts. So I wanted to at least show you that as you look across Forrester, Gartner, IDC, ITSM Review, and a number of the different independent analyst firms out there, that Cherwell is recognized right at the top among all the major vendors, and in a number of different studies, whether it was Gartner's critical capabilities or Forrester SaaS providers, they were ranked as the leader in the space. And so if you haven't heard of Cherwell before, they're growing tremendously quick. They are taking market share from a lot of competitors and changing out a lot of legacy systems as they go. And part of the reason for that, one of the key reasons is, quite frankly, in our minds, Cherwell has a very unique design and a better design from most of the legacy providers that have been around for many, many years. A couple things I wanted to highlight here today. You won't actually necessarily see in the demo, but they're important to just be aware of some of the things that make Cherwell really unique and the reason for their success. And a lot of that hinges on their modern architecture. The Cherwell architecture actually solves a problem that's been a thorn in the side of ITSM vendors for many years, and that is, quite frankly, that enhancing the application, going beyond IT, making configuration changes, doing integrations, none of those things break the application with Cherwell. They don't impact your upgrade code. And so with Cherwell, regardless of how creative you get with the system, how much you tailor and configure the system to work to meet your business needs, your upgrades are never going to get more complex than they are when you load the out-of-box system. Upgrades are literally 30 minutes. You don't have to worry about getting stuck on a version and being unable to upgrade because of changes you've made to the system. Huge benefit for Cherwell, and again, solves a lot of the pain that many ITSM users have had with other solutions. Cherwell also features a true codeless configuration. And often when we hear the term codeless configuration, we think of one of two different things. One is that, oh, if it's codeless, they're going to lock me down and prevent me from doing the things that I need to meet my business requirements. Or the other one is, well, if I have to do anything that's kind of tricky or fancy, I'm going to have to write code anyway. And with Cherwell, neither one of those is true. It's designed so well that you can build entire non-IT applications on top of the platform if you want and never have to write a lick of code. It doesn't restrict your functionality. No matter how creative you get, we have clients who've done amazing things on the system. You don't have to write code to make those happen. So no HTML developers, Java, Jelly, none of those kinds of things. It really helps drive the cost of owning the application down to a much more manageable process than it has been for many, many years. I'm not going to hit all these other bullets. You can read them there, but it does have a native mobile platform. Cherwell is an all-inclusive product. We'll go into that in just a minute. And it's a solution that you're not going to outgrow. Some of the largest enterprises in the world use Cherwell today. And so while Cherwell may be new to you, there are some very, very large corporations who've discovered the benefits of the product and the solution. So I mentioned that Cherwell is an all-inclusive solution, and that truly is the case. So when you purchase the Cherwell Service Management Solution, you're going to get 11 Pink verified ITIL processes out of the box. There's never an a la carte cost if you want to say do change management or you want to do problem management down the road. The entire integration platform to do any kinds of integrations through API, email, database, whatever the case may be, it's all included in the product. Self-service, the portal. With Cherwell, you actually get native mobile clients. You get Windows, Android, and iOS native clients that your technicians can use, and you can expand those to go, again, beyond IT. The only piece of Cherwell is Cherwell has a product called Express Software Manager, which is their discovery and software compliance product. That is licensed per device, just like many other solutions that are out there. And that's really the only a la carte cost you would ever incur with Cherwell when you purchase Cherwell. And so to that end, beyond the orchestration and the other pieces that come with the product, if you want to take that Cherwell codeless platform and go well beyond those 11 Pink verified processes and build applications on it, whether it be an SDLC application, quotation application, or all these other things that you see in that outer ring, because it's a codeless configuration platform, you have the ability to go well beyond the 11 processes that are in there. There's never another cost, an added cost, to add functionality, to add these additional pieces that you may want to add into Cherwell. And Cherwell actually has this really unique feature called Mergeable applications. So they have an online community of partners, customers, and Cherwells themselves who can create functionality, and they package it up in what's called a Mergeable app, and then other users can share those and download those and use that functionality. So beyond that outer ring, there are customers all over Cherwell who've literally created dozens and dozens and dozens of applications that go well beyond what comes out of the box. And other than your cost for a technical user, you never have to pay added pricing when it comes to Cherwell. So that's really the only overview I wanted to give you from a PowerPoint presentation before I turned it over to Mary Lynn Lawrence to do a high-level demo. The purpose of the demo really today is to wet your whistle, to hopefully get you intrigued and interested enough in wanting to know a little bit more about Cherwell, and perhaps reaching out to us to do a bit of a deeper dive into a more personal demo for you. So with that, Mary Lynn, if you want to take over control here. And Mary Lynn, you're still on mute.
My dashboard or my email?
I see your dashboard.
Yay. Well, sharing these dual desktops is always an interesting challenge. Okay, so I'm going to start actually out at the portal. And this is the end user portal that comes with version 8 in Cherwell. So my plan today is to take you through the portal, the end user portal, talk a little bit about the flexibility of modifying the portal, talk a little bit about enterprise service management and the portal. We're going to throw in throughout the demo different areas around administration, because I think one of the highlights of Cherwell is the ability to do modifications and configurations without being a power admin user. And we'll show how some of those functions are pulled out more to be completed by key business stakeholders with some training. Then I'm going to go into the desktop client. There is also a browser client, and I'll show you what that looks like. We're going to talk about dashboards. Then we're going to go into an incident ticket, talk about incident and request. And then with whatever time we have available, I'll do a really quick tour just to show you what's available in some of the other applications like change management or project tracking. So I'm going to go ahead and start out at the portal side. Again, this is the out-of-box version of the portal for version 8. The really nice thing about Cherwell's portal is that it's very easy to modify. It doesn't use any web coding. All the configuration is done within Cherwell as dashboards. So just as a couple of examples of that, here is one that we just now created. We're working on a marketing proof of concept, and so we created this new hub that shows the ability to have multiple tenants on your implementation of Cherwell, be able to have one place for your customers to come and look for the tickets that they've opened across the different organizations, and yet be able to provide specific routing and forms based on the tenant that's in the system. So in this case, if I click on the marketing side, I can see that the types of common requests, and this is the category structure in Cherwell, allows me to set things up for marketing. I just clicked on pitch proposal, and here are some of the subcategories. Again, it looks very different in some ways from the IT side, but very similar in another way, that the skin and the feel and the navigation is all the same regardless of the tenant that you're in. And again, this is easy to modify without web coding and is not impacted by an upgrade. Here's another look at a hub that we have that has the same types of tenants available, but again, it's super easy to modify to human resources, which is existing on the same Cherwell database, and yet you're seeing things that are very specific to human resources while on that same system. And Bill kind of mentioned this before or alluded to it. What's really nice about the licensing within Cherwell, there's two really key points. One is that whenever you buy Cherwell, you get everything that you saw on the inner circle on the PowerPoint for one price. The only thing you don't get is the discovery component. And the other piece is that when you do a multi-tenant implementation and you want to have something that represents HR, facilities, IT specifically, you can segment the licenses. So because they're concurrent users and segmented, IT can have their chunk of licenses, facilities their chunk, and human resources their chunk on the same implementation and not crossing into the usage of each other. So let's take a look at some of the functionality of the portal itself. I'm going to go ahead and log in here and see some of the personalization that happens as part of the login. So I'm logging in as Tracy now. Let me log out and log back in again here. All right, and you can see some specific things that showed up now that I logged in. So it gets very personal here at the portal. I can go see my requests easily. And if I go into one of these requests that I have open, it points out another really important point of the portal, and that's to provide information to your end user to hopefully prevent calls about the status of the tickets and, where is my workflow? Where are we in the process? So I went into an open request for new employee setup. I can see that some comments have been exchanged between the technician, who's Henry, and the customer through the comments area. And then I have different tasks that also have been created. And I can see that as an end user, the different tasks and a little bit of a subset of what's in that task. I can see this is owned by first level support. And you can modify the fields that are available up here to your end user. But I think it's really important to be able to provide information to the end user instead of just saying, yes, we're working on it here. A couple other things I want to point out here is you have the ability to very quickly present problems that are happening in your environment that have workarounds. So the problem management module in Cherwell is a formal module where you can escalate incidents to have an evaluation analysis and get to a permanent fix on them. And during that process of a problem, you may have areas where you have a workaround. And a workaround can be very powerful to an end user. This may not even have to result in a ticket. So in this case, we have a customer that is looking here, they see the problem, and here's a workaround that potentially can help them at this time. So you can put any types of notices or system alerts out here. We have a lot of customers that very boldly display any major incidents so that people can identify with them and say that they also are impacted. These are incidents where I've subscribed the problem, so I'm in the loop of the notification and resolution of it. So lots of things to keep your end user educated, knowledgeable, and hopefully save them some time. You can put charts and items up here as well. So one of the things with Cherwell is that at the portal level, you have the ability to see things other than your own things. Now, we're not going in and editing other people's tickets, but in this case, I'm getting a department view of the different things that are happening in the environment. Any reports or dashboards that we're going to talk about later on can be published up here at the portal as well. An IT calendar can be posted up here so that you can give your end users a view of the changes that may be coming on the weekend that may impact them. So let me go ahead and show you another really core part of Cherwell, the backside, and this is the service catalog. So the service catalog is based on a 3-tier structure of service, category, and subcategory. And at the subcategory level, you have something called a specific form. So let me show you that for a second here. So let me go into conferencing and presentation, and I'm going to click on request a conference phone. What comes up here, again, we're as an end user, I'm presented with information that the fulfillment team is going to need when they get this ticket in the system as a technician. And this form is specific to the type of request. So you can see I'm being asked for things that are very specific to conference, projector, laptop. These are dynamic fields that can be used to drive workflow and approvals. You can have costs associated with them. So you can see this specific form has one set of information in it. And if I go out and pull up, and this is the most famous one for forms, is the new employee setup, I can see that this form that I'm presented with, again, is different but very specific to the things that I'm asking for. So I'm asking for a new hire setup for John, and it's going to let me go through and put in information. Oops, I hit my highlight bar here, sorry about that. Let me try that again. I'm not sure why everything is highlighted, but it's going to allow me to go in and put information in for the new hire process alone. Okay. So as I go down through my form here, I can see I'm being asked for things that can be a part of a catalog. I can have costs associated with them. I can have accessories. And if something is selected here, it's going to drive workflow for tasks, and I'll show you that in a second as well. So this is the power of the specific form, and this is the service catalog. Now, the service catalog can be rendered in different ways. This is a very dynamic view of the service catalog. It's a little bit meandering for me. I kind of like to highlight the top types of requests first. We do something like that when we go into the to the hub approach here, where instead of having a service catalog that you sort of scroll down through, we put the services up here at the higher level and a little bit easier to view for your customers. And then when you click on these, it gives a subset of the service catalog for you to view. Now, this service catalog for some systems is an extremely painful thing to modify and keep current. So I want to take you in here briefly, and I talked about maybe doing some admin things in between the demo areas. Let me take you into the table side of things. So I'm going to go into this table, which manages the services, categories, and subcategories. Now notice this is table-driven. It's not part of what we call the orange client, which is the full admin client. And this allows people to be able to make modifications, with the right role to their area as appropriate. So if I clicked on this email service, here's a category, here's a subcategory. If I wanted to add a new subcategory, I can just click on new and I can create a new one. You can make it visible in the portal or not, and you can also set a default team. So when a ticket comes in from the portal, depending on the categorization, it will default to whatever is in this default team to quickly get the ticket into the right hands of the people that should be working on it. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to show you is you have the ability to have a cart. So if I go into my service catalog and I want to do I want to request a web camera, and I say the pieces that I want to go with it, I'm going to add it to my cart. Now, if I leave this session, when I come back in, this cart will have been saved. So a little bit like the Amazon shopping capability where you can have multiple things in your cart, then you can submit your order when you're ready. And if I had 2 or 3 different things in here, 2 or 3 different requests or incidents would be opened representing each one of the items in my cart. So that's a kind of a new feature in the last 2 versions of Cherwell. So I'll just submit this order. Okay, so I think at this point what I'd like to do is go ahead and get into the client side of things. Now I'm in the desktop client here, and there is a fully functional browser capability as well. One of the things that you'll see right away is this dashboard view, and I'm going to talk about dashboards a little bit because they're really powerful. They're easy to modify, and they can have whatever look and feel you want, and there are a ton of widgets that you can pick from. So this view of the dashboard is not the view that probably any individual in your organization would have, but it represents the different types of things that you can have in dashboards based on role. So the global IT one has a really nice view above the individual, you know, looking at teams, workload, all of them by department, highlighting ones that have unread journal entries, look at my SLAs and what's warning and what's been breached. And you can see the different widgets that are available to represent this information. For my work team, it's a little bit more important for me to give them only the information that they should be focusing on. And generally that's what are the incidents and requests and potentially changes that are owned by me, what are the tasks that are owned by me, and then what are the different areas that are owned by my team, because this is where I'm going to find my next work to pick up. I see some visual cues here. The ones that are yellow are new, meaning that they have not been assigned yet. I've got some acknowledged, got some in progress. Red is because they haven't been assigned, but I think also because they're probably breaching their SLA at this point as well. So you have flexibility within these dashboards and the resulting queries to drag and drop your different columns. If there's a column that I don't see out here, but I'd really like to have out here, I can just add those columns to this. You can save your dashboard view so that when you log back in again, the next time it's going to have all of that information available for you in that same format. And you can have global or individual or team-based dashboards as well. Let me briefly show you the ease of modification, and we talked about no configuration, and I think to highlight even beyond that, it's not only is there no coding involved, but Cherwell has done a really, really good job of putting a lot of stuff out of the box for you to use. So let me click on executive, the IT executive here, and I can just pick, let me pick this one over here. So if you see over here, I've got all kinds of different widgets that are available. I can drag and drop them. They already have the associated queries that are run behind them. If I look at the properties of this widget here, again, you see it's not coding. I have different, even within the widgets, you have widgets. So I can have different types of gauges that I pick from, not having to create any of this from scratch. I can see the search criteria that's associated with it. And if I go look at the searches, you know, just like you saw, there were a ton of widgets that were available. All of these are the available queries that have already been created as well. and this is just for incident. So generally, you're never creating anything brand new. You're coming into one based on its description and finding one that's close, and then just going in and editing it to be the different query that you want it to be. This is incident only. I have the same type of list for change, problem, etc. So that's a little bit about dashboards, and you know, you have this kind of dashboard in your mind. Let me just show you another dashboard that we have. This is a dashboard example of our facilities map that we have, that we've put on top of our implementations of Cherwell. So you can see this doesn't look anything like the dashboard we had that we were showing on the global IT side. This just shows the flexibility of making your dashboards look like what you want. Okay, so let me just show you a couple other things here. Reports, just like dashboards, there are a lot of things that are already created out of the box that you can modify. There's a wizard that drives you through the creation of the reports. And there are a lot of, what I like about this is that, you know, it's not as big and heavy as Crystal, which is extremely powerful, but has a very long learning curve. This allows you to get some really nice reports out very easily, and they can include graphics and other queries. So I just pulled up one of the reports that's out of the box here. And you can see that I can have graphs available, and then as well as the queries that are associated with it. So just a listing of the tickets as well. You can email these out, save them, do all kinds of modifications to them. If I wanted to create a new report, it brings up a wizard. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I do want you to see that it's wizard driven. It's asking me here for my search group. It's asking what fields I want in the report. So very nice interface for creating quick reports. When I ran a service desk years and years ago, it was also really important for me to be able to get very quick searches. And so I may want to go into incident tickets, and I have all of the incident tickets that are open. So a couple things I can do with this. I have some pretty cool groupings that I can do. I can do an export of these to Excel. I can reorder these. So if I go and I can customize the columns as well. So very easy to get the types of reports that you want, and there is also a very easy to use search builder. I'm going to go after only open incidents where the address is not empty. You can just keep adding on criteria in your search to get the results that you want. Okay, so queries, reports, dashboards. Let's go into some tickets then. Oh, one other thing I want to show you. So Bill had mentioned about MApps or mergeable applications. So if I go out here to File, and here are all of the things that I currently have on my system that I can use. Now, some of these are things that you may not have seen on that main sheet that Bill had shown, like the new training course. There might be another one in here, the license usage. These are different maps that are available for you to lay on top of your current system. So if I look at the maps that are available, I'm going to look at the ones that I have on my system. So I loaded these up separately from out of box. I'm going to show you orchestration a little bit. I went out looking the other day on the Cherwell Exchange, and I found a little map for configuration item loan and loaded it up. So this allows me to be able to identify configuration items that are laptops as being part of a loan pool So when I'm in an incident ticket and somebody has a bad laptop, I can go look at the loaner pool and assign that to the requester in my incident. I had no idea what was there. It's just cool new functionality you can load on your system. Another one I found was IT training, and allows me to track training courses. We have a new Jira integration as part of version 8. And again, I mentioned these orchestration areas as well. So let's go ahead and open up a ticket from an incident perspective, because there are a lot of things I want to show you that happen within the tool. And just because we're going into incident doesn't mean we're not being relevant to the other modules. The rules that apply to the incident apply to the other modules as well. So I'll highlight those as we go through them. So there is some workflow in an incident, and that's represented up here. I'll go ahead and start opening up a ticket here. Now, let's say that this is a slow email issue. And I'm going to cheat and make the description the same as that. Now for a requester, I'll go ahead and make this Eric. I have two Erics, and I'll make a point here. I'm going to go ahead and pick Eric Cox from the facilities team. He's reporting email. And now lots of things started to happen as you start populating the ticket. And for those of you who manage a service desk or work at the service desk, what I always hear when I do these demos is we need to make it easier. We need to get information to the service desk fingertips as quickly and easily as possible. So let's talk about a couple of these areas. So we assume we're going to be bringing these requesters in from Active Directory. So part of the installation, or whether you're SaaS or on-prem, is an integration with Active Directory. We have other customers that we also supplement the customer table with feeds from, for example, Lawson or spreadsheets. If I want more information about Eric, I don't want to clutter up my incident ticket, but I need to be able to get to that information. So I have these little arrows here. I'm going to click on that arrow, and it takes me into Eric's record. So I can see additional information about Eric. I could see that if he had subordinates. In this case, I could see training courses that he signed up for, the configuration items that are associated with him, any incidents that have been opened, and any SLAs if he had a customer SLA. I can pick a team that I want to own this. And down here, when I put Eric in here, what happened is that I started to get a list of different things. Let me pick a different person here, because this Eric didn't have very many tickets. Now, if I pick Eric Lambert, I can see that Eric Lambert has open tickets, and here are the ones that were open in the last 30 days. The other thing that happened when I picked Eric Lambert was he got a crown. So let's see why he got a crown. He's a VP. So in this case, the VP flag is set because he is a VP. And in this case, I can see that I have an SLA that's associated with a vice president or with a VIP. So I have a platinum SLA associated with a VIP in this case. And we'll talk about that in a second too. So information is populating down here to help make me more intelligent, at least right now, about the requester. So categorization, we saw the categorization out in the service catalog, service category, subcategory. You can search for that as a service desk person by pulling up the entire list, although I'm not sure that's really useful to you. You can search on it by saying, well, it's got to have something with email in it. And so you can search on it that way as well. Or you can search on it with the traditional drop-down. In this case, I'll pick email, desktop client, submit incident. All right, so here's what happened. You remember I put second level support in here? Once I categorized this, the category structure said, no, the default group is the first level support team. So it put the right team in there based on the classification. The other thing that started happening is that I got a similar incidents tab popping up here. Similar incidents are based on the service and the category, and they tell you the different things that are open in your environment with this, at least the first two levels of the categorization. And this may mean that there's something happening in the environment like an outage spreading or something like that. Or you could say that, maybe I have another one over here that Eric has already opened. I just need to update that ticket instead of creating a new one. You can see priority. This is based on impact and urgency. In this case, I'm going to make it a 3 just for a second here. And I'm going to pick a configuration item. So I can see that Eric has a configuration item associated with him, both mobile and a computer. And I'll go ahead and put the computer in there. So let's take a look at our SLA here for a second. Notice that the platinum one is indicated here. If I get more information, I can see that I have 3 different possible SLAs. I have a customer one, I have a service one, and I have a configuration item one. Well, it's just a laptop, so there's no CI SLA that's in play. I did pick the email service that does have an SLA, and platinum. And if you have multiple SLAs on a ticket, it's going to pick the one with the shortest time to resolution. In this case, the platinum one. Now, if I put that back to my other person, Eric Cox, that we started with, who's not a VIP, I can see that the SLA that's being applied to this ticket is the email service one. So in this case, the email service SLA is the shortest one. It's the only one in play because there is no specific customer SLA. So SLAs are powerful and can be set at 3 different levels out of the box, and that can be extended beyond those levels as appropriate. So let me just pick another configuration item. I just want to show you this because we won't have time to hit config really deeply, but I want to show you that I have lots of different configuration item types. There's computers, mobile devices, all of these things that you see listed here. And these different areas can be, you can import them into or do discovery to in order to track it to the incident or use it in your change management search as well. So let me take you into, let's say we did a network device. Actually, let's do a server one here because I have a mail server. So when this ticket comes in, the service desk is probably not going to know that it's a mail server issue, but this can be changed later on in the workflow by the other levels. You can also add multiple configuration items here. In this case, I only have one, but if I wanted to, I can link it to other configuration items. From within the ticket, I have the ability to launch over to that mail server, and I can see different attributes of that mail server. I can also do a visualization. And in this case, it's showing me that this mail server is down, and it can be set to a down status either manually by the Tier 2 or Tier 3 team working it, or by automation if you have tickets coming in, for example, from SolarWinds that map to this configuration item. You can set the status to down based on the automated alert as well. Notice that when I put submit incident here, I have an incident ticket. If I made this a request, this changes to a service request. And that's really important because you definitely have different priorities based on that. And also you can have different SLAs based on whether it's an incident or a service request. One other thing I want to highlight here is that based on the priority, I have the ability to have something called a major incident. So a major incident allows you to be able to declare a lead ticket or make a ticket, the head ticket, where all of the work is being done. And then you can have other tickets that can link to that ticket. And then once you link it to the ticket, it's not going to error out. In this case it did. But when you add a ticket, it will then populate down all of the resolution information and notifications from this master one to the linked incidents below. Let's see, was there anything else? Oh, well, knowledge is really important. So knowledge is sort of hanging out here over on the side always. And so in this case, I'll go ahead and pin it up. Now you can search and pull over the classification as the search if you want, or if you're in any other field, it can bring over that information of whatever field you have your cursor in. Let me go ahead and do the one that's based on the categorization or the classification. So knowledge can be segmented as visible in the portal or not, so you can have separate knowledge from articles, articles that are technical versus ones that are consumable by the end user. You can have that search go after different areas as well. So you can see I'm going after open incident tickets, I'm going after the knowledge, I'm going after Google and YouTube. So you can set these up, and it's not crawling through Google, but what it does is it keeps you in the chain of the knowledge search. So even when you're in Google, and if you click on Use Solution, it'll save that up here, and I'll show you that in a second. Let me pick a knowledge article here. You can see that you can save screenshots, you can have hyperlinks, and you can also have attachments as part of your knowledge. If I go ahead and use this solution, it'll put it back as used. It'll be part of the incident as well. Let me show you what happened if I went into the Google browse. It just submits that chain, that text that I introduced at the beginning, email and calendaring. And let's say I go into one of these places on the web, and I keep going through here, and I go, oh, this is exactly what I needed right here. I can say Use Solution, and it's going to save the link that I got the information from, so it can be used later on as well, or provided to the end user. So that's a little bit about knowledge. Let me make this the Eric's laptop here, because I want to show you some of the new orchestration stuff that's available now in version 8. So I click on Incident Actions, and these are called one-steps. And one-steps within Cherwell allow you to stream together multiple commands. You can execute a program, you can send email, lots of different things that you can do just with a one-step by clicking on one thing. And I'll show you another example of that. But orchestration is new for version 8, and it's really pretty cool. So if you use the Jira system, you can post to Jira from within incident, from within problem, and from within change. And this will send information from the incident problem over to Jira. Jira can then post information back, and it updates the tickets. So we've done this integration before in the past, but it's never been a formal integration. If you're interested after the call in getting more information on this integration, drop us an email and we'll send you the white paper on it. We're really excited about the Active Directory and Exchange orchestration. This allows you to, Cherwell has already set up the commands that would typically be issued to enable an account, disable an account, do any of these functions. Now what you have to do is go into each one of these that are already created and put your specific command or path, but the shell is set up for all of these different automations. And it's set up for within the incident ticket, so it's pulling the information from the requester, or in some cases, depending on if we're going after the computer, after this configuration item. So if I execute one, it's going to fail, but I do want to show you that it's capturing all of this information, and it's keeping that in journals that you can then go report against as well. And one other thing that I wanted to show you that's very important to a lot of our customers. Oh, I forgot about our specific form here. When I got down to the specific form here in subcategory, and I made this an incident, again, you remember on the portal side of things where you had the specific information about the request, the projector, or a new hire. In this case, I have a specific form that's collecting information about this email issue. These are real fields. They can be made required. They can be actionable. So this is a really nice way of having information that your service desk should populate depending on the type of issue or request that's being reported. You can have tasks that are associated. Now, generally, we see tasks associated with requests, but you can have them also for incidents. Here's that loaner MApp that I just loaded up earlier today as well, that allows me to pick a loaner for this person. Email is really important, and email is very integrated in Cherwell. If I want to send an email to Eric from within the ticket, I can put tos and froms, different froms here. I can attach things, and I can add recipients. So let me go ahead and send this. And here's what I like a lot about email within Cherwell. Everything is tracked in this journal. And so you can see that I have a mail history here that I sent this email out. And this email that got sent out has the full text in it. And down here is a record ID, and that's how when the reply comes back in, it knows what ticket to update. So give me a second. On my other screen here, I got that email that came in. Let me reply to that. All right, so I sent a reply in. It'll come in a second here and update this ticket. Let's see, while that's happening, one other thing I wanted to show you over here on the task pane. Here are some of these very common things, talking about keeping things at the fingertips of your service desk. Here are some of these different one-steps that can be created or executed. These are all out of the box. So from a service desk perspective, these are some of the templates that I see happening all the time. Reset password. What that does is it automatically populates the short description, and puts it into a resolve status with a resolution of password reset. So it allows the service desk to very quickly take an action. Cloning, closing, pinging, remote control. BombGuard Chat, there's an extremely tight integration with BombGuard Chat and BombGuard Remote Control as well. Excuse me. All right, let me populate the priority here. And now I can see that I had replied to my ticket here. And let me get that back up here. And so you can keep your chain of emails going back and forth without losing the context. So when I reply back in, it's going to have another journal entry, and then I can reply to that, and the whole string stays as part of the journal. Okay, I think I beat incident to a pulp here, but we hit lots of good areas around knowledge, one-steps, categorization, and the information that's made available to your service desk. Let me go back out. Bill, are there any questions I need to address right now before I go back out to the home area here?
No, there are no questions right now, but great time for just to pause and just say, to remind everybody, so there is a chat and questions panel in your screen. So if you've had any questions specific to anything you've seen so far, feel free to type those in, and we'll address those at the very end. But go ahead, Marilyn, you're doing fine.
Okay. So one thing I wanted to show you, because we had talked about service request and the ability to have tasks. In this case, I went into a request for a work environment enrichment, a new stand-up desk. Has the categorization available here. And I can see that there are different tasks that have been assigned. Now, what you can see here also is the ability to have dependencies on your tasks. So I had the order the stand-up desk. Well, you certainly don't want to deliver it until that order the stand-up desk has been completed, and potentially another step to have it on the docking station or staged. Again, the set up the desk has a dependency on the deliver equipment. You can also have approvals set up based on financial side or based on reporting structure. Going into Tracy here, I could see, let me change this here. I know that Gina has reporting people. And so you can do your approvals based on your organizational structure. In this case, Gina's the manager of these people. You could have a rule set up that if any of these people open up a request for a certain type of hardware, that the approval be set at the manager level. Okay. So we have a few minutes left here. I wanted to just show you change management. And in change, you have the ability to create three different types of out-of-box, three different types of changes. They're normal, standard, and emergency. So let me go ahead and go into one of these that we already have open. So here's a normal change. A normal change is the most robust change. It's got all of these different phases, and it has two approvals. One is an assessment approval, and one is an implementation approval. And approvals have delegation capability, and you can set up rules for approval that are things like only one person in the group has to approve, or multiple people, or you can do a percent as well. So you capture your configuration item in here on moving a network printer to a new location. You have the ability to view the change calendar from within the change ticket to see what else is happening that potentially could conflict with this. So the calendar sometimes highlights conflicts, but you also have a view collision detection. And what this does is it's going to let me know of any changes that are already open against this configuration item. Now that doesn't mean it's a collision, but it's really nice to know that there are three of them open, and you can take a look at them to make sure that they aren't stepping on each other. The other thing that you can do within the change itself, powerful using the configuration item, here's an emergency change. Now, emergency change looks like it has the same number of phases, but what it does is it only has one approval, which is at the implementation level. And that approval is an emergency cab, assuming that it should be a smaller group of people. There's a real reason for this emergency change. Now, in this case, I put a configuration item that is the mail server, and it's yelling at me because my proposed date, there's something wrong with it. So another thing that you can do with your configuration items is you can have maintenance calendars that are associated with them. So this one has a maintenance window. It's a primary server, and it's critical. So if I look at the maintenance window, I can see the only time I can open this type of change, because of this blackout, is from midnight to 5 a.m. on Sunday. So lots of good checks and balances in here. Let me make this on a Sunday, and we should be good to go. Okay. So it let me go ahead and do that. If you look at the expanded view of this, now there are two different views of change, and I really like that you can pick and choose. In a step view, it's going to take you through all of the different pieces that you need. So I'm going to select a team, give it to second level support, and I'm ready for next. So when I click on next, it takes me to some different areas here that I need to populate. I can create a new task if I want. And once I populate this information, let me just put the quick type in here. Then I'm ready to go to the next activity. And so there can be different approvals that are put on this. I'm not ready for it yet, but let me look at the expanded view of this. So you can see here are all of the different fields that are being requested for this emergency change. And I'll just go ahead and scroll down through them. So you can see that all of the core areas of change management are covered here. So we have the assessment, we have an implementation area, and we have a review area as well. Okay, that was the really quick view of change management. The only other one that we didn't cover was the standard change. Standard change is the easiest kind. Notice that there is just really an implement phase, and the assumption is that this is part of a standard change library, and so it doesn't need any approvals. It just needs to go on the forward schedule of change. So what you see is what you get for standard, and it's just an implementation with a record. Okay, I think we only have like 2 minutes left here. So the areas that we did not get to cover, but we would love to discuss further when appropriate, is the we have a project tracking module in here as well. There's a release module. There's a new concept of service catalog templates that have associated work orders, a supplier catalog, and underpinning contracts. So some pretty cool other areas that we just haven't had a chance to hit today.
So Mary Lynn, thank you. Actually, you just went just where I was going to ask you to go in the last minute or two, was just to kind of remind everybody some of the other pieces that we didn't get to see. It does not look like we have any questions, so it looks like you've covered maybe a lot of the topics there. As I said at the beginning of the call, we have recorded this presentation. We will send it out to the attendees today and to the registrants who couldn't make it. Feel free to share that link with anyone else in your organization you think who might have an interest in it. And then certainly if you would like to take a deeper dive, maybe bring in your team and have a one-on-one demo where we can explore in some more detail some of the areas of Cherwell, we would welcome the opportunity to do that. If you're somebody who's on a legacy service management solution and want to have some conversations specifically about perhaps maybe some places where we've replaced that system with Cherwell, or the process we would go about doing that, we would welcome the opportunity to engage in those kinds of conversations as well. With that, we're right up at 2 o'clock. We appreciate everybody's time today. Look forward to catching you on a future webinar, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.